Hello and welcome. I'm Brad Burgunder, Relationship Manager at Kurtosis. We're picking up on a conversation we started back in TSAM in London in April about the rise of AI traffic on asset manager websites. It's really becoming harder to tell if it's a spike in traffic is coming from people engaging with your site or from AI models crawling. So the question is, who's really visiting your website? With TSAM New York around the corner, we're tackling these questions with Sunil Dedra, our Chief Technology Officer, and Michelle Wright, our Chief Product Officer. Sunil is joining today, but Michelle and I will be on site at TSAM running sessions in the marketing and client service stream. And we will be discussing the topic on a fireside chat by Michelle called Beyond SEO, Generative Engine Optimization, or GEO, for asset managers. Sunil, quick state of play. What's changed on this topic since you last spoke about it back in TSAM in April?
We had a great session back in April and some really interesting questions that came out of it. It's an area of the industry that's moving at such a pace that quite a lot has changed between April and now. And I think if we're speaking about it in another year, then even more will have changed. So definitely a space to watch closely. But the significant changes since April have been, number one, we've started to see many of the big players and content providers starting to put standards in place. So first of all, around paywalls. So this is mostly for media companies and content creators where they can put a paywall in for AI crawlers and other forms of bots. So people are starting to experiment with standards around that. And then also mechanisms for licensing content and a simple machine readable way to say how your content may or may not be used by AI, independently of charging for it. Now, for each of those two areas, I think for them to gain prominence, there's going to need to be support from the bigger players in the industry, and we've not really seen that at the moment. And/or there's going to need to be a collective push from some of the media organizations. And then the third kind of big thing that we've seen has been stealth crawling. So this is something we did speak about back in April, where some of these AI crawlers were not behaving in a manner that's consistent with existing standards and fair usage, and quite kind of abusive in terms of how they're hoovering up all of the content. And it's not really changing in that regard. It's still happening. It's still a problem, I think, for hosting providers, but what's changed is that it's being spoken about a bit more. So there was a story that made the headlines around Perplexity and the way that they're hoovering up content. And I think you're going to start to see more and more discussions around abuse of content in that way.
Should asset managers start charging AI crawlers for access?
In my opinion, and in short, no, absolutely not. I don't think asset managers are in the space of charging for content. I think what's more important is that their content is discoverable, and that when someone asks a question of an AI chatbot, then an investment manager's products are surfaced up in the right way, similar to a traditional search engine. And charging might suit kind of premium research, those kind of things. But at the moment, I think the focus should be on making sure the content's discoverable and accurate.
Great. What can teams do, though, Sunil, that this doesn't become like an IT project?
Yeah, there shouldn't be huge changes from how we already optimize. Many of the kind of mechanisms to make sure the content is correctly indexed should be familiar to content owners. But what I would say is a couple of things to think about, and it requires research and it is changing all the time, but think about where your content resides. So if it's on the web page itself, if it's behind something like an attestation or some other pop-up or some kind of gated content. Also think about content that resides within other linked documents, such as PDFs. And if you want to kind of take it out of those and put it actually on the page, because these crawlers might not kind of take a deep dive and index all of the content in the files that you have on your website as well. And then also think about how you're phrasing some of your headings or the content on your website with respect to how people might prompt and ask a question of a chatbot as well. And then finally, look at crawl policies and some of these standards that are starting to gain prominence in the industry. They may not be fully adopted, but kind of putting them in place should be relatively lightweight, and it's something that you can begin to investigate.
Hi, Michelle. With AI-driven traffic growing so quickly, where do you think the industry will be, let's say, in 2 years?
Hey Brad, given the pace of change, I'd expect to see a mix of rapid experimentation and also gradual standardization. When you think about experimentation, AI traffic is still relatively new. A few months ago, most people didn't even know what GEO meant. I think each company has its unique challenges with detection, filtering, and engagement metrics. I think we're likely to see a lot of trial and error approaches, and some companies need to figure out what works for them. But I think at the same time, best practices and standards are starting to emerge. And the challenge we're going to see is having buy-in from the big players. In 2 years, I anticipate there will be more widely accepted playbooks, but they'll evolve as continuously as the technology changes.
Michelle, what's important from a product point of view?
I think consistency is really key. Think about what makes it easier for a human, because we are trying to understand rather than pick out keywords. So it's not just about the keywords. I think we need to bring consistent layouts, clear naming, and simple navigation to help people as well as the machines get to the source. This works best when product marketing and compliance agree on the source of truth, keep it current so that answers stay consistent and compliant.
Are there any traps to avoid?
Yes, I think historically we've been treating bots as a decision point in terms of block or do not block. So what's good, what's bad. I don't think it's that black and white anymore. So definitely avoid blocking everything, but at the same time, avoid letting everything through as well. So what that means is you actually have to look at the data and make explicit decisions on what you want to allow through, what sections you want to be discovered, and continue to understand the kind of traffic patterns that are coming to your website. We can help you if you're with Kurtosis, and we can expose that data to you for your website. And it's an evolving space. So I think it's continue to understand the traffic patterns and the trends in the industry and the standards that are becoming adopted.
Michelle, you and I will be in New York for TSAM. What will your session focus on?
Without giving away too much, Brad, and I want to keep some suspense for New York. Firstly, we'll be looking at why. I think always starting with why, looking at people and behavior and why this is becoming important. The way investors are searching is being redefined. Investors are asking AI assistants for direct answers. They don't want to scroll through lists of links or get up the keywords. GEO is how we structure the content so that it's useful, clear, and machine readable, making it more likely to be quoted and cited in those answers for our investors. I think we also want to keep the content fresh and trustworthy. I think being brief, having factual summaries and using natural language, naming entities and dates, and having visible last updated can all help AI tools to lift the right facts. We aim to leave people in TSAM with some practical tips that they can use so that GEO becomes a habit and not just a project. So we look forward to seeing you there.
Michelle, Sunil, thanks for your insights. If you're at TSAM New York, come find Michelle or me. We'll be either at the booth or in our many sessions. We'll be in the marketing and client service stream. So see you there on October 9th.